What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, May 18th. Good day of trading. I was barely green on my personal account, really green on the firm account. But I made an accident on the personal account. I had a great day on the my personal account, but unfortunately I thought I had sold the position, and I sold it twice, or I didn't clear an order or something and ended up short, and it burned a hole in my profits. So I ended up making $52 today. So that sucks, but it is what it is. I'm just glad it happened. I don't know. That sucks. That's all I can say. So my first trade of the day was HGSH. And can't remember exactly where it was. It ended up stopping me out. This was a loser, and then my next trade was also a loser on Ford. So let's take a look at these really fast. HGSH 839. I said, oh shit. So 839 is a bit early for me. 2.2 to 2.14. 2.2. 2.14. Okay. So I wanted my zone filled down here. Those levels were based off of pre-market values. Price did come down. Oops. Price did come down to fill me. Right in here. It came and it filled me. It kind of poked up out of here, and I said to myself, and I was doing a live stream on Twitch this morning, and I was talking about it as it was happening there. In this part of the chart might have looked, I don't know. Looking back on it now, especially as volume died down, I should have probably, once I got tapped right here, should have probably sold. Or when I got filled in full, I could have sold for like 6 or 7 cents here, seeing that the volume was down. But I don't know. I like to let my stops and my profit targets run into each other. I did end up raising my stop loss to I ended up raising my stop loss, I think, to like 205 or something. Yeah, and I think I ended up getting stopped out here. It was initially down here to give myself a little bit of wiggle room at 2, but as volume kind of died and it made this move up, I said, well, I'm going to put my stop here at the most recent low, because that way I know that if it goes below it, it's creating a lower low. So it ended up stopping me out. For a small loss, I lost like $50 on this ticker this morning, because I identified the slowness, and I moved my stop up to kind of follow it. That way, if it did break out, cool, I'm still in the move. But my bias was turning more towards the fact that it would probably come against me. So I ended up raising my stop and losing very little. So that was that. I mean, looking back at it now, I don't really like, how the chart looked. I mean, you got to imagine the chart looked like this at this point. It's not a good look. I should have probably not taken the zone based on this action. But, it's the morning. Crazy shit can happen. Volume can come in, especially when price interacts with pre-market levels. So it is what it is. Maybe, after this sell-off, this is essentially a lower high. I should have realized that, maybe it just doesn't have the action on the day. When you're seeing the lower high come in on the very second run, especially after a decent price drop previously, then it's kind of gives you the all-day fader vibe. But so small loss. It happens. Nobody wins every time. Can't be upset. We take those. We take our losses and we move on. Our stop losses are there for a reason. And when they activate, we don't get upset. We just move on. So the next one was Ford. I took F because I liked this trend on the day here and on the morning rather. Excuse me. At 8:53, I said 12:39 to 12:34. 8:53. So right in here. 12:39. Sorry, that was a bit of a struggle. To 12:34. So as you can see, price came down here and filled me in full. Again, kind of like the last one. If this 10-minute, I saw this huge wick on the 10-minute chart, and I saw this candle kind of fighting to close up in the zone, and I was like, all right, that's a good sign, right? That's not bad. But then immediately after it, it kind of fell off. I ended up adding a little bit more because I wasn't fully sized in, and I got my cost basis down below my zone. So I was like, well, I'm only a little bit out of the money. I think my max risk was right down here at 12.25. It came back up into my zone, and I was actually in the money about another 7 cents, exactly like the last move. I looked at it and I was like, well, we could sell here, take a little bit of profit, and just move on. But again, I really like to have either my profit target or my stop loss hit. Now, sometimes I'll move up my stop loss. In this case, I did. I ended up moving my stop loss up to here, just like on the last move, where I would know that this would be confirmation of a lower low. So I did obviously end up getting stopped out, but I saved myself the extra 7 or 8 cents on the stop. Again, I took a real small loss. It was nothing major. Another really tiny loss. Unfortunately, I like to have some decent wins in the morning before I go to work, but just that wasn't the story of today. No follow through on these two moves here. AGEN. AGEN was a winner, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. I don't remember exactly where it was. AGEN at 9:08. I said 4.2 to 4.13 is not bad. 9:08. 9:08. So right here. This would have been in this candles. 4.2 to 4.13. So this one was a winner. And it was a big enough winner that it wiped out both previous losses and then some. My profit targets were going to be here and here. So as it immediately came up and popped through my first profit target, I looked over here to the 10 and I saw, a wick body, strong engulfing, pretty much the same story here. Light trend coming in, boom, a shot up. So when you see those engulfing candles or those rallies, especially considering that it's coming off the 20, it's coming off a VWAP, you can see that it's a VWAP in the 20 on the 5. Those are all good signs. So when it came up here, I actually posted in chat that I'm adding on dips on the way up, so I have great position size. So as it came up here, I added right here in this zone. You could see as price is kind of consolidating. Now, when you do add, you can do it a couple different ways. It's kind of has to do with reading the tape. You like to see the tape come through with like some velocity. You like to see the speed of the tape kind of accelerating. The size of the orders on the tape sometimes matter. But in this case, I saw that the price was kind of fluctuating within this range. If you're not comfortable with adding to your winner, you can take half profit here, and then if it comes below, you can go for a free play, or you can take half profit here and just take the rest up here if you're not comfortable. Adding to winners though and scalping is definitely a good way to make the most out of Like for instance, I had 2 losses and 1 win on the day so far. So, you know, I need to push the ones that do well, or I like to at least. But it is something that you have to eventually be comfortable with. You can raise your stop up to break even if you're adding to your winner, or, you know, if it comes below, you know, maybe you can set like a mental threshold. Like if it comes below right here, I'll just market sell. That way I still make some money, and, you know, the adding to my winner, you know, the stock was just too heavy and it didn't go the direction I wanted to. Like, there's things you can do to mitigate that risk. My stop loss, by the way, was, I want to say, was 4, I believe. Actually, I think it was right here at 397. Right? Does that make sense? What was this? 413? Maybe not. Maybe it was right here. I don't remember. Regardless, price came up here almost immediately after filling. I only got filled on 2 of 4 bids, but it came up here, consolidated nice. You could see it kind of wicking out, wicking back. You could have even, on this little pop over 4.4, sold, bought back in, sold. Now, granted, you know, it's easy to say that in hindsight when you don't know that follow through is going to exist. But you could have looked over here to the 5 and saw that it was creating a very tight red bar here. And then as soon as this green bar came up over this, you could have treated it like a 3-bar play. You could have set your stop at the low of here, and you could have added right here and then sold up here. And that's kind of how 3-bar plays work. You could have taken I mean, it's only 20 cents or whatever, but you know, those are different ways where you can push your winners to kind of give them a little bit more. Let's see. FSR I never got filled on. ZKIN I never got filled on. BLNK I did, but that was on the firm account. Oh, I did end up taking a loser on AGEN. Smaller loser than my winner, you know, thankfully. Yeah, 4.4 to 4.36, and this was after I had won. 4.4 to 4.36. So this is when I'm hoping for, and knowing, I even said in chat, this is a good area, but it's still a bit extended. So after having sold on this move and basing this, you know, hoping that the resistance created right here on this level as it went up, you know, would act as a new strong support for the base of our zone, our box here. So I added in full. You know, you can see that it came and tapped me in. My stop was actually really tight. It was just right down here below this level of what I was expecting to hold as support. So it came up here. I didn't sell because I was actually holding for 4.5 minimum on this one. Real tight. I was in kind of small size. I wasn't in full though. It came up here. You know, that would have been 5 or 6 cents. Not really worth the trade. I was shooting for a 15-cent or better trade. I was hoping that this would act as a pullback to what would eventually take us to potentially high of the day. Unfortunately, it didn't. It tried. Volumes, you can see here that volume obviously fell way off. And then as it came down here, it ended up stopping me out, which is fun. You know, we take those. So I was still green on the day with 3 losers and a winner. I was still in the green. So that is a... you know, that's something to be happy about. That is the byproduct of good risk management. I preach it all the time, and I know that it's easier said than understood, but you know, it really can take you a long way. So I did this one actually on the firm account, but I'll show you exactly what I did. Ride 97 to 956. Now this... Oh, I ended up not getting filled on that. I ended up remaking that zone. Let's go to the next page. My ride zone ended up being better. Okay, here it is. 10.05 to 9.87. 10.05 to 9.87. So this is my zone right here. As you can see, I... did not get filled anything close to in full. I think I ended up doing 3 bids total, and I got filled in one of them each time. But as I identified this, And I talked about this a little bit in the chat. So my stop loss is actually right down here, 971. My profit targets were going to be up here at 10.4, 10.6. So once I realized that this price is that the action was kind of just consolidating, but it was consolidating with range, I took the trade right here. First, it stopped me at, it tapped me in right around this range, and then it came up here, and I sold on this, right? So I ended up getting about 30 cents out of this, right? And that's a decent trade, little 30 cents. I realized that, as volume was, look at the volume here. Look at the price action, and then look at the volume down here. You can't expect these kinds of highs on this kind of volume. It's just not how it works. But you can take these little tiny scalps. So I took 30 cents, came back in my zone. I added again, and then I took another 30 cents. You actually could have held that one for maybe 40 cents. Or you could have held it, with a decent stop, a pretty tight stop. You could have held it for a lot higher. And I went into chat and I mentioned that I took this zone 2 or 3 times. And, one thing that's important if you're going to take a zone multiple times is that you can, identify what happened on the first time you took the zone. I actually think I got stopped in on one, I sold, or tapped in on one, I sold up here, tapped in on one, I sold up here. And you can see that that's almost all at the exact same level. So once I realized that this consolidation range that happened over here was becoming a little bit of an area of resistance, I was like, that's fine, right? I can just buy on this level and sell on this level, and I can do that over and over again. And I'll keep doing it until it stops working, or, the price action does something, either doesn't come down here or doesn't go up here. And so then what I did is I ended up changing my stop to be the bottom of my zone here. So this became my stop, because I know that if this area that it's dipping to gives, then it's no longer doing this, bounce from support to resistance that I was expecting and basing my thesis on. One thing that if you're uncomfortable with adding to the same zone because you think that it might cave, then you can, what I recommend, until you get comfortable with, doing it however your position size and risk management would have you do, you can take, a normal trade on this one, see what the action is, see that it came up here, cash out, do what you got to do. And then as it comes back down, take half of what you took over here and understand that, the previous high of this run is what you should be shooting for. So if you take 1,000 shares right here and you make $300, you can take 500 shares right here and make 150. You know what I mean? That way that no matter how badly this goes, you're not giving back more than you've already made. And that gives people a little bit more, room to breathe when they're, if you are worried about taking the same zone multiple times, because, zones do become weaker because it is a trend-based mechanism and strategy. Having things come down to the lows of where it was previously is not always ideal, because that doesn't mean that the trend is keeping up. But you can play these small scalps on, support and resistance levels, just bounces between like this, especially if you have a zone incorporated. You identify that your profit target needs to be more realistic, because, you're not going to get a high day each time it consolidates. This is purely just consolidation with range that you can take advantage of. And once you identify that, you can understand, tighten your stop, tighten your profit target, and take a couple little moves just to kind of pad your stats on the day. And I ended up taking 3 winners on that. Boom, boom, boom. Obviously I didn't get in huge size at any point. I think I was right in my smallest bid on every single ride, but that's okay. Let's see what else we had. FSR, I didn't get filled. Oh, BLNK. So BLNK was a really, really good trade today. Okay, that's right. I actually took a couple of solid trades on BLNK. I think I have pictures of them. Again, when I trade on my firm account, I can't show you guys that. Like, there's no way for me to pull it up after the fact. At 4 o'clock or market time, so 3 o'clock my time, it completely I can't trade after hours, so it completely wipes my portfolio, and then I am unable to even look at what I did on the day. I can only look it up through my website login stuff. But regardless, BLNK 3.3 down to 3.2, and that was at, I'm sorry, 32.3 down to 32, 10.12. Yeah, so this one was a beaut. My profit target was right up here, 32.75. So as soon as it broke through 3.5 right here, I sold half. And then as it started to round off, I sold the rest. So it was a really solid trade. I mean, you're talking 50 cents just from here to there. And then I was able to squeeze out another 20 cents, 18 cents, something like that. My stop loss was actually down here, right below this candle. And you can see that it was a decent risk to reward. I mean, filled me in full, came down. You know, a lot of this had to do with the action that Tesla was doing. I saw that Tesla was doing well and was rallying past yesterday's lows. So I said, okay, well, that at least gives me the confidence that, you know, this bottom will hold. And it did. It did. It came right back up. I sold. You know, again, I don't shoot for highs of day every time I buy in. It ended up coming down and filling one more bid. So just like on the last trade where I said I'm comfortable taking zones multiple times, so long as, in this case, what did I do? I raised my stop loss to the low of this run. Because now I know that if price comes below this, then it's no longer a higher low, right? So I was risking, you know, 10 cents or something like that. I got one bid filled. I sold it at the same level right around here, the 13.7, or I'm sorry, 32.7. So those were, you know, that one was a full-size trade and that one was a small one, but both solid winners. They didn't take super long, decent scalps. Trend is, obviously you can see the trend on the day really, you know, held up pretty nicely until the Tesla drop. This is where Tesla knifed really hard in the afternoon. And EV likes to follow. That's what happens. So that was a solid BLNK trade. Okay, ULBI. So this ended up being a big winner that I won on short. This is also the ticker that I accidentally left in. I left filled or I left an order open once I was done, and ended up getting screwed. So this was I had a great winner where I took a small scalp that after I sold the pop, I went short and wrote a sweet short. Where was it? ULBI 10.74. Trying to find the time. 11:06. It's right here. 10.74 to 10.63 could be good. 10.74 to 10.63. Okay. So right as price came down, right here, and it tapped me in, I sold at the touch of 11. I saw that this is creating this level right here, and you can see that the stock was kind of coming down off of highs from this morning. The stock was overall selling off. I was hoping that breaking above VWAP right here would give it the rally that it needed to come up, and eventually it did. It did. It just wasn't at the time that I was playing it. But let me explain to you what I saw right here. And kind of why I thought about it the way that I did. So, I ended up taking this small scalp. I ended up, you know, getting a real small move, but I recognized as it came down, I ended up nuking my position here, and I took a short on this higher low. I'm sorry, on this lower high, rather. I ended up going short here. And the reason I did that is because you can look over here, right? Look at how price, even though it was, you know, still kind of going up and rounding off right here at the top, some interaction with this line. This is a better example on the 5. You can see that price kind of was rounding, and that the big volume that brought us up here was no longer being found. So the fact that it was still going up a little bit, but volume was coming down, told me that means that this right here with the significant volume was probably all this run had. That was probably the high. Now there's a mean reversion trader, a good friend of mine who helped me a lot when I was, going through blowing up my first account and all that stuff. And I reached out to him, and he had taught me a lot about. He's mostly short-sighted, almost exclusively, and I was able to learn a lot from him about, like, in these types of moves where you have big volume and then above average volume, but price is stalling and it's lower than the volume that brought you up to this level. That's what shorts actually look for. You throw in this bounce off of a key psych level, acting as resistance, and a stock that is generally down since open on the day. I said, well, this looks like a good short opportunity. So I shorted it right here. And I ended up writing it all the way down at 10.5. I think I closed it like 10.48, or I covered. So I ended up having an amazing short based off of that move there. A little bit different than what I usually plan for. My stop loss was just right up here at the break of 11, so I was risking very little. But utilizing that information, you can see that big volume. Look at this candle. Look at the volume and look at what the candle looks like, right? That's why I was like, okay, this is not good. And then it sold off. So I was happy with that short. It was great. So apparently what had happened was, like, I bought 500 shares or whatever it was right here to cover my short position, but I sent the order twice. So I ended up being long, which would have been awesome if I knew, because it ended up going up way up here, but I found out over here. I ended up closing it at 10.5 or something like that. So yeah, I ended up losing a few $100s on that, or I was still short. I can't remember. Something ended up happening, but I was up big on that short, and I was like, yes, dude, yes. Great day, great day. But alas, came against me a little bit. I ended up shorting VRNA in the after hours. We'll talk about that really fast. Before I move on to the couple of Tesla shorts and stuff, or Tesla longs rather. I did long Tesla today. It was trading above the 200 SMA for the first time in a good while. So I actually shorted this ticker right up here, 8.2 up to I was actually right here. So as it popped through here, I said, if it can come down to this area, I'm going to take it short. And I'm going to risk right here. It is after hours, so if it goes up past this and it creates new highs, then I know for sure that its action is not coming down. But nobody knew what the news was. I looked and I was like, well, best case scenario, I'm shooting for this gap fill here. So I shorted it right here. I got filled actually on this candle. And then it came down and it came back up against me. Well, it's not a big deal. I was ready to sell it at this area. And then it fell. And then it fell. So I ended up covering actually up here. I didn't get the zone fill. I was just ready to be done with it. So I ended up covering at about the S76 or so. I took some profit here at 8 because I saw it bounce up and I was like, oh God, if it pops over 8, that could be the energy that it needs to, create new highs on the long side. So I took some profit here at 8 and I set my stop loss or my mental stop loss, since it's after hours, to break even. And then it sold off some more. I was kind of tired of watching it. I was a little busy at work, so I sold the rest down here. But yeah, I was happy with my day overall. It is an unfortunate situation that I ended up losing a few $100 because of that trade I accidentally left open. But I did really well on my large caps. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I had a couple of great large cap plays today. Okay, here's one. So here's one. This is on Tesla. This is a long. So I created a zone here. Stop loss is right down here, as you can see from the dotted line. And my profit target was right here. I saw that this was kind of some head and shoulders action. I wasn't trying to hold for the tops of the shoulders. I just wanted a simple move from the neckline range up to a decent profit target. I got filled really handsomely, and that's almost a $5 move I took right there. And that was fat. I was super stoked with that one. Then I actually came back to Tesla. So as you can see here, this is the move I took earlier. It ended up going right. I sold here though, as I do. Price came back down. It wicked me in right here. Oh, here's a better picture. It wicked me in. It ended up filling. My risk was actually just below VWAP. It was actually the low of this candle, because if this low breaks, I know that we're creating new lows. And again, it popped right up to my profit target, and I took a $3 or so move. So that was two really solid moves, about an hour after one another on Tesla. NEO, I actually took twice as well. So right here, I took it. My stop loss down here, you can see. Got filled right here, popped up to my profit target. I sold in full, 30 cents or so. Came back down, filled the zone again. Everything was exactly the same, and then it went back up, and I got filled in full, and I took it again. Now I was seeing this act almost like Ride, which is also in the same sector, and I was seeing this action, especially based on Tesla, doing something similar, of bouncing to support, bouncing to resist, bouncing to support, bouncing to resist. Like, you can take those moves if you have a solid plan and a good risk management process in place. You can buy the support and sell the resistance for small little scalps. I took 25 cents or whatever, and I did really, really well on my firm, on my large cap accounts today because of it. I wish that I wouldn't have had that big whoopsie on my personal account, but it is what it is. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully better than we were today, and hopefully none of those silly mistakes. Had I been here trading, obviously that would have never happened, but because it was on my phone and I was at work trying to do other things, it gets a little bit easier to have it get away from you. So that is it for the day. I hope you all had an incredible day, and I hope that the rest of the week it continues to be a solid week of trading, and that everybody ends the week a lot more money in their pocket than they started. So feel free to message me, questions, all that good stuff, anytime you want. Be well, everyone. Have a good one.